Hi, this is teacher Linda G, your coach, your solution lady, with another quick video. Last week I completed 3 days of emotional intelligence. 3 days of training and certification to be able to use the EQ 2.0 and EQ 360 model with leaders. And this is a fascinating tool. I'll tell you in a minute what it measures, but I had to go through it myself. I had to complete it online. And when I received the results, I have to admit I was a little bit taken aback because some of the scores weren't as high as I thought. But I spent some time with my coach, and he was able to, help me go through the process of understanding my scores and applying the scores to real life situations. I'll give you an example. So one of my scores that was a little bit low was in the stress tolerance. And I thought, I specialize in stress management. How can I possibly have a lower score in stress tolerance? But when I really think about it, when I am under stress, I feel overwhelmed and I often don't know initially what to do. I've been practicing mindfulness and I've been practicing relaxation technique, and of course practicing assertiveness definitely helps to be able to tolerate stress more. But the initial score was, okay, maybe there's an area there that I need to work on. Another score that I had that was a bit lower and that surprised me was the score on interpersonal relationships. I believe that's what it's called. Here's a picture of the model. So this was in the interpersonal relationship score, was slightly lower than I was expecting. And of course I'm thinking, well, I've got great relationships and I'm able to communicate, quite effectively with my friends, with my coworkers and so on. But when I started thinking of, how it could possibly improve my interpersonal relationships, I had to give it some thought. I could probably contact my coworkers more often and, ask them to go out more often. I can connect with them more often. I could possibly be myself more, with them. So there were different things that came out of using the tool. Essentially, the tool, the emotional Intelligence 2.0 tool, is there to measure your emotional intelligence. And it was a tool that was developed by the I have to take a look at this. The Multi-Health Systems are the ones that came up with the tool, and it's valid and reliable, and there are some interesting norms as well. And so the tool itself is split up in 15. I'm just going to show you that again. You see, it has competencies, and it has subscales. So the competencies are self-perception and self-expression, interpersonal, decision-making, and stress management. And the idea is that you look at your emotional intelligence on a holistic perspective that includes all of these skills, all of these different competencies, and these competencies have sub skills. And I'll just give you an example of one of them. In the self-perception competency, you'll have self-regard and self-actualization and emotional self-awareness. And in the decision-making competency, for example, you'll have the problem-solving and reality testing and impulse control subscales. So all of that, all of these competencies are important because they all help us to understand how we manage our emotions and how we're able to improve how we manage our emotions so that we can, obviously make better decisions and improve our relationships and so on. So this is a great inventory to use for personal reasons. You might want to use it because you want to just know more you want to improve your overall emotional intelligence for personal reasons, but there are also great benefits of using this tool for work purposes, and especially if you're a leader, it's very useful for that as well. So if you want to use it for work, completing the tool and having a follow-up with a coach. Now I'm certified in offering this, so I definitely would be, willing and looking forward to helping you with this. It helps you to understand a bit more of where you're currently at, and it helps you to set goals, and you could set goals in any of those competencies or even any of those subscales. You could set goals to improve yourself. Now, the bonus about the emotional intelligence is that with training, with being more aware, you can definitely make changes to the scores that you receive. Not so much like the Myers-Briggs type indicator, which is a preference style tool. I've used a Myers-Briggs, and I'm also certified in the Myers-Briggs as well. But I've used it, and I've noticed that the first time I ever did it was, oh man, many years ago. I was doing my undergrad, so this had to be 90, 89, 90, something like that. And then I redid it several years later, and I ended up with the same code. So the Myers-Briggs is very different than the emotional intelligence inventory that I'm talking about. The Myers-Briggs is about your personality preferences, and those don't seem to change. Now, there is a continuum of preference, so you might prefer introversion more than extroversion, for example, and you can probably develop your introverted preference a bit more. But when push comes to shove, your results, your MBTI preferences would remain the same, unlike the emotional intelligence one, where with some coaching and maybe taking some training and practicing, for example, in the assertiveness one, I'll just mention that one again. So we have I'm just looking for under the self-expression competency. You have the emotional expression, and you have assertiveness and independence. So, for example, if you had a lower score on the assertiveness scale, subscale, this is definitely something you could work on, right? You could learn to be more assertive. And of course, if you're more assertive, then your relationships might improve. And then you might notice a change at work and so on. So overall, this particular inventory here, the EQI 2.0 and the EQ 360 model. Let me tell you a little bit about the 360 model. I think this is very interesting. So if you're a leader, and you don't necessarily have to be the executive director or, a manager. If you feel you have a leadership type of position, you could complete the inventory, and you can also ask some coworkers, maybe some friends, a manager, some peers, to also complete the 360 model. Now, the 360 model uses similar questions as the EQ 2.0, but it's worded with that person in mind. So the questions are slightly different. But at the end, you get a report. You get your report. The coach also has their own report, which they don't share necessarily with the person who's taken the tool. But you get your own report, and you're able to see where your responses lie against the other raters, which is really, really interesting. Because sometimes we think we're a certain way, we think we express ourselves well, but then maybe our peers or those that directly work with us may not see us the same way. So it's a really interesting tool to be able to see how people see you compared to how you see yourself. And there might be some areas that you want to develop as well. So that's all I wanted to share with you today about this EQ tool. I'm really looking forward to helping you with that. It's another tool that I have under my belt to be your great coach. So if you want more information on my services, please go to my website at www.lindagrobert.com, And you can also send me an email at linda@lindagrobert.com if you want to complete the emotional intelligence inventory or even the MBTI. Shoot me an email and we'll coordinate a meeting. Have yourself a great day now. Bye-bye. Et en passant, l'outil d'intelligence émotionnelle est disponible en français. Donc, vous pouvez le compléter en ligne en français et avoir un rapport qui est écrit en français. Donc, tout ceci pour pouvoir vous aider à développer votre intelligence émotionnelle. Et puis moi, comme coach, je peux aussi vous aider à comprendre le rapport. Merci et bonne journée.